What's up, everybody? KleverKrok back once again for week 8 of the GTA Season 3. Now, this week we've got a bunch of crazy matches. I think we got two 1-0s, two 5-0s, and a 3-0, and man, they were all just crazy. So I guess we'll go ahead and... wait, nope, stop. First, I'd like to introduce you to our guest today, the coach of the Richmond Raikous, aka I'm forgetting Jasperious. I always forget your name for some reason.
Hey, I'm pretty forgettable, so...
No, you're not. You were... Yeah, never mind.
Okay.
I almost spoiled things. So, the first match we're gonna look at is the match between the Alakazams and between the Alakazams and the Mucks. I need to just take a second. But anyways, so this match, when you kind of look at the teams, that's pretty much what the Alakazams are bringing most of the time. And well, I really like Lantern in the draft format. I think it's really usable with the Volt Absorb and Water Absorb, and it's just so bulky. It's good to have. He has a lot of flyers, so he's kind of susceptible to rocks, and he has no way of getting rid of them other than the Togetic. And okay, never mind. I shouldn't have said that because he also has Skarmory. But anyways, I guess it's just because I like Rapid Spin better than Defog. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and start it. And I noticed that, this has happened almost every week because there's just a lot of Pokemon with Magic Bounce this season that are being used. And yep, so you see that. He went for the spikes on the Mega Absol, which has Magic Bounce, and of course it reflected the hazards back at him. And he also didn't realize that Knockoff does more damage when there's an item on the Pokemon, and so it did more than he was expecting, in addition to the fact that he lost his item. And so, that was just kind of a free, easy way to get rid of the Skarmory. Even though it's not down, it's with the rocks, it's going to be pretty weakened next time it comes back in, unless he can get rid of the hazards. But here's something that I'd really like to point out is what happens here is he goes into the Salamence, and you're expecting maybe Ice Beam, Ice Punch, or Toxic, or Roar, or something for him to get rid of this, or to get the Salamence out of the way, or at least hit him for a Scald and hope for a burn. But he goes for Rain Dance here, which I really wasn't sure why he did that, unless he was just hoping for more damage off the Scald. But the fact that the Mega Salamence got the free Dragon Dance was kind of a big deal, because really it should have 6-0'd, which you'll see here in a minute. So I think because that happened, that's really kind of why the Mucks lost, is that one turn, and it only takes so much with Pokemon like Mega Salamence to lose. Now, so you see the Dragon Claw, and Salamence barely lives it, and he goes for a return here when he could have gone for another Earthquake to finish it off. And so I think that's probably why it wasn't 6-0, because he would have just gone for an Earthquake here against the Nidoking, took that out, and then could have used return on the Volcarona to one-shot that if it wasn't Focus Sash, which I don't think it was. So I think that was kind of a crucial thing, for his differential. You're as you see here, he's gone from a 6-0 to a 4-0 at this point, but then the Volcarona comes in and makes it a 3-0, and then he brings in the Togetic. And one thing that, I'm not sure it mattered all that much, but going for Defog, if he had Thunder Wave, that would have been so much better, because then he would have outsped with the Mamoswine. But as you can see here, it just is to Wrecking House, and basically partially because of rolls and partially because mostly because he didn't preserve that Mega Salamence. It went from a 5-0 or a 6-0 to a 1-0. And it was still a good match. The Volcarona did awesome, by the way. I really liked the way it was used, and it really came back and made it so close, and he could have won that. But yeah, going for the return, not knowing about Rough Skin, or at least forgetting about it on the Garchomp, was kind of something that I think really affected the way this match turned out. So, do you have anything else to add, Chase?
Yeah, Salamence needs to be killed like as soon as it comes out, or 6-0s happen. Well, it should have happened. And Volcarona was just really, really good. If he had one more special attack boost off, which I might have even tried my luck with a Fiery Dance and prayed to the Poke Gods that I could have gotten another one, and then Bug Buzz, but he almost came back 4 down. The Mux did, and I'm impressed, but against Lantern, it's very hard when your other move is Bug Buzz and you have no stab. It's a great match, though. I'm very, very happy with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a really good match in the end. It could have been very, very easy for the Alakazams to make that a 6-0. Another thing is, I'm not sure if maybe he didn't have it on him. It's quite possible that he was running Fairy Dance, Bug Buzz, Quiver Dance, and something else. But I would have thought that he would have had Giga Drain on it, and that would have definitely sealed the match. So I'm not sure if that was just something he didn't have on it, but that would have definitely given the Mux the match if he had that. So that's all I've got on that one. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next match, which is between Black Ice and the Maple Grove Gengars. So, again, this is kind of the two teams that are still not really branching out. I don't think that the Gengars have switched any of their Pokemon out since the first week. I could be wrong. They may have done one Pokemon, but it seems like they're bringing the same Pokemon in the same sets each week. And even though they're doing pretty good with it, I think the reason their record stands the way it does is because they're not bringing things that are unexpected. And so I think that's kind of a flaw. What do you have to say, Chase?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, and I'm just really happy that Whale Rain showed up. Even though it didn't do much,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a really nice change to see something good. And it also has very good strengths against 3 of the 6 of the Gengar's Pokemon.
Yeah, that Stab Ice.
One thing I'd like to point out is that you can't stun Spore electric or grass types because paralysis doesn't work on them. And grass types or grass moves such as Leech Seed and I guess the other Spore moves besides what maybe the Poison Spore, Toxic Spore maybe. What is that one?
I think it's Poison Powder.
Yeah, Poison Powder. All of these grass moves don't work on grass types.
Yep.
But this one's pretty nice too. I would like to see some more variety from the Gengars. Their sets work great. They've got fantastic Pokemon. Electros is a monster. See, there's Dunspoor on electric type. Can't do that. But Electros is a monster. It's just really a good team and a good matchup. I would have liked to see Wellrain do more, though. He tried to do Hail right off the bat, and then I probably should have just went right for an Ice Beam, or I don't need. Can it learn Ice Shard?
I
That would
don't
have been
think
good
so.
too. Mm.
Yeah, I think what would have been good if he had the opportunity to set up, which he could have done, I think, earlier once the Electros went out, was set up a Hail and then go for Blizzard since they don't miss in a Hail. But even then, I don't know. It was good to see it because the lack of the types on the Black Ice's team is so linear, and there's a lot of either shared typings or shared weaknesses, and he doesn't always have a bunch answers for things. And I don't think he's been able to get rid of hazards once this season, because I don't think he has something. He's brought something that has rapid spin, and I'm pretty sure he's not brought defog on the Sigilif if it has it. So I think the ignoring hazards, if that is true, which I think it is, has been kind of a thing that just kind of really hammers down on your ability to be flexible during the match.
It does, especially with such a strong sweeper like Kangaskhan, which I'm really stoked that knockoff, or not knockoff, fake out finally came out. I
Yes,
was so
yes.
happy.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
also, is knockoff the only move on Glysaur?
Yes. So that's another thing that I kind of have a problem with is like Gliscor is good and you can use the Toxic Stall, which I think his set that he's brought every week is Knockoff, Taunt, Toxic, and Roost. And that's fine, but like bringing it every week and not even having Earthquake or not running Acrobatics or not bringing like other moves that Gliscor is really good with is kind of weak in my opinion. It really hinders what Gliscor can do as far as that goes. Another thing is Ice Fang was probably not a very good choice because I'm pretty sure you would hit a lot harder with special moves like Ice Beam and Blizzard. Um, so yeah, that was kind of a mixed decision. And earlier, like you saw that Sigilif go down to the Gator who was setting up on him. I would have immediately gone for Psycho Shift. He may have not had it, considering he was probably Roost, Stored Power, Cosmic Power, and probably like something else. I don't know. He might have had Psycho Shift, but I would have totally brought that, knowing that he had these like special sweepers these physical sweepers, especially Gator. Um, Psycho Shift, for those who don't know, it takes the status on Sigilif since that's the one using it and puts it on the other Pokemon and removes it from the Pokemon using it. So that's why people bring Flame Orb on Sigilif sometimes is because it has Magic Guard and they use Psycho Shift to basically use it's like a Will-O-Wisp that doesn't miss and it burns the other Pokemon and yeah, you get burned again sometimes if they don't status you by the end of the turn, but it really hinders things like Gator that swept his team in this match.
And with Magic Guard on a Sigilglyph, it doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
It's just a little permanent burn there.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
like
do
to.
anything. It actually stops from like things like T-Wave, which still do affect speed, and you can still get paralyzed with Magic Guard. So
Oh yeah.
it's like protection as well against that. Fake Out
That's.
Sucker Punch also, sorry, I just wanted to say that Fake Out was awesome, and then bring Sucker Punch to finish off the Gator. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I like to back to the Glysaur. I like to run my Glysaur really weird. I like to have the Toxic Orb on it and do the Toxic Stall, all that jazz. But I like to fling it
And then Acrobatics.
and then Acrobatics. Yeah. So it's got Fling, Acrobatics, Roost, and Earthquake, and it's just fantastic because you get that 110 with the stab off Acrobatics.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really like strong set. And even if you do, like, I prefer with the stall set, I prefer to bring, instead of bringing Roost at all, I mean, you get so much sustain from that toxic, or the poison heal, that I like to run, what was it? Protect, Toxic, Earthquake, and maybe Knockoff. But like that way you have something to get rid of items because I think knockoff on Gliscor is good. You also have that Earthquake which can do loads of damage because it's stab even if you're running a defensive set. And then Protect Toxic is plenty to stall out tanks that can get poisoned. So
Yeah, I've seen that one too. I like it. But all in all, this is a really good match. I would like to see, because you know that when Whimsicott comes out, its moves are going to be Stun Spore and Leech Seed, the way Black Ice has been running it. So just keep Torterra in there. He can't do anything but substitute.
and Encore.
And Encore,
Still
yeah.
doesn't do anything for him. It only allows Torterra to do damage and wear down the Whimsicott. So yeah, I totally agree on that point. So, I guess the next part, or the next match, is the match between the Wiltshire Wobbuffets, which is up here, coached by Fatal, and the Because I'm Zubatman, coached by Justified, here on the bottom. This match was, I knew this was going to be a big, intense match, because they're both like top contenders, I believe. The Wobbuffets have stayed in the top 5 all season, and Justified, aka the Zubat Man, has stayed in the top, I think, 3 or 4 all season. So I knew this was going to be a really good match. I was looking forward to watching it and just to see what they would bring. And so I kind of see, like, the Fire, Water, Grass core, and then also, like, he has a Dragon, Steel, Fairy core, all in this, just these 6 Pokemon. It just kind of demonstrates, like, how strong his set, like, his team is, defensively speaking. And then he's got some, the coach of the Wobbuffets have a good lineup here in Mega Charizard X and Victini. He's got things like Conk and Keldeo. So he's got sweepers. He's got things who can break walls. But I just, personally, I see so much more strength just in the Zubatman's team alone. I just kind of figured that the Zubatman would win. Not because he's necessarily better or anything. That's for another discussion, I guess. But I just like having the variance in types and having special and physical attackers, and just it's built so well. I don't know. That's kind of, to me, it is so important to team build, because you can bring really good Pokemon, but if they don't work well together, then it doesn't really pan out at all. So this is something that I thought was really cool. He brought Swords Dance this week on his Landorus, which he's not brought before. And in combination with Stealth Rocks, he knew if he put up rocks that he would Rapid Spin with the Armaldo, which gave him a chance to set up. And so he did that. And so Aqua Jet was good on the Armaldo because he was able to get some damage off, pretty much getting rid of the Landorus. It wasn't able to keep the hazards off the field, but it still was able to do plenty. It really weakened that. It really weakened the Milotic as well because of that Swords Dance. So I just think that was like a really important move there. And so they decided to stay in, despite the confusion. And takes the Sacred Sword. Confusion ended, which was really lucky. And one-shots the Keldeo, so that thing's gone. Which I think was a really good answer for the Heatran, now that I'm looking at it. So that was good for him, because Heatran's really good for like half of his other team. And then getting that paralysis on the Venusaur was really lucky, because he was able to take that thing out, and that was a threat to his team. And then he's able to pull out another knockout, which was, I think, it was like lucky, but at the same time, like, it still did buttloads of damage before it got paralyzed, and it took out the Togekiss, which I think was good. And so making that hit on the Heatran, I think, was a really good move, because that allowed the Conk to come in and basically be secure and taking it out in one hit. But he could have just gone for Drain Punch. I guess he was expecting the switch. And Rest was an interesting thing. It's just too bad that the Conk was, obviously he's just going to destroy Heatran, because the Rest set is pretty neat. I think it was Rest Talk, yeah. So that was a pretty cool set. I really like the Rest Talk, like, trap sets, so like things like Whirlpool and Sand Tomb and Infestation, trap Pokemon, and then you have Rest and Sleep Talk on a bulky Pokemon with Toxic. You can like Toxic Stall and trap them and keep them from switching out. So yeah, this is where, like, to anyone who doesn't know much about Heatran or how, Zubatman has played him in the past, I knew from like just team preview, I'm like, that Tyrantrum is scarfed for sure. And I knew that, like, he didn't have to worry about fairies, so he was free to do Outrage, or if he wanted to go for Head Smash, even though it would potentially miss. But, like, even though it looked like it was a 3-0 and it's like, oh man, this match is over, like this Tyrantrum might get 1 or 2 kills, but it's not going to win. But it's scarfed and is able to go for the Outrage here and just get rid of everything. And the Wobbuffet's coach didn't know, like it had no idea, even up to this point, because if you think about it, Tyrantrum outspeeds naturally at max speed. It outspeeds the Conkeldurr and the Milotic. So he could have just assumed it was choice banded, or, obviously since he locked into Outrage from the beginning, he had, like, no way of knowing that it was not choiced or that it was choiced. And so he probably thought it was Focus Sash or maybe Expert Belt or whatever. But I knew it was Scarfed for certain, and so he thinks maybe he can either go for an Earthquake potentially or what. But the Outrage comes in clutch and takes the victory from a 3-0 on the Wobbuffet side to a 1-0 on the Zubatman side. Jace?
I really think that at the very beginning, where Landorus had 18 health left against their model that had 1 health left, another Aqua Jet would have been perfect. Instead of trying to rapid spin, you could have just gotten rid of the Landorus right then and there, and then tried next turn.
Which, granted, in both scenarios, he would have been unsuccessful in rapid spinning, so he might as well. Excuse me. He might as well have just taken the kill so that Landorus wouldn't have hit the Milotic so hard.
Yeah, because Milotic's the main bulk on the Wobbuffet's team, and without it, it couldn't take a hit from. I don't even know. Would it have been able to one-shot Milotic at max HP?
Not Outrage. I think Head Smash would, but not Outrage. If he was no defense invested, it would have. I think Head Smash has a chance of one-shotting Milotic. But if it had some defensive bulk, it would have been a 2-shot. But even then, even after a Scald burn, which you could see he was running Surf instead of Scald, it would have not mattered all that much. But I think what he was doing, honestly, I don't know, I haven't asked him, but it was probably a competitive Milotic because it was going for damage and Surf, and he knew that Landorus was coming, so he knew that he had the chance to get that +2 off the competitive, because the way competitive works, and conversely Defiant, is whenever that Pokemon's stat is lowered, like any of them, so if Defog is used or if Intimidate goes off and it lowers a stat, it raises Defiant's version is that it raises the attack stat to 2 times, meaning +2, while competitive is +2 in special attack. So I think that's what he was hoping for, and not having that answer for Landorus by maybe starting out with that was, I think, a problem. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, either way, it was a very, very good battle.
I agree. It ended up being really close. And,
kept you on your toes.
Yeah. So that was just a good match overall. Both sides played really well. And having that Tyrantrum with the Scarf was awesome. So, okay. So we'll go ahead and go on to the next match, which was between the Krookodiles and the NPCs. So, take it away, Chief.
Well, the NPCs haven't really changed their team much. You got Shiftry, and I like the Florges in this battle because you've got Drudagon and Krookodiles, obviously. It's your mascot. You got Drudagon and the Krookodiles both getting hit really hard for the Moonblast, which you can see once the battle starts, and Sableye, actually. So you've got 3 Pokemon that are very weak to Fairy. And the Moonblast just hit so hard. Even after, the crit really helped, but it did a lot to your team, and it really was fun. The Fortress, I think, doesn't the Fortress do reflect and stuff? Is it just standard?
I don't know. I've never seen it use it, but I suppose it's possible. Going for the rapid spin against a Ghost was probably again, Magic Bounce was not prepared for, not known, but also going for rapid spin on a Ghost is also not going to work.
Not optimal.
Yeah.
But I know we talked about this. You should have just swept right here. You shouldn't have kept building yourself up.
Yeah, I think I was like trying to play careful. I'm not sure if he was expecting a switch there with the psychic, but I kept going. I think because I wanted to one shot it. Because if a crit happened, I wouldn't have the chance to pick it back up, like to recover or anything. So that's kind of why I stuck with the game that I was playing, because I could only one shot it with Shadow Ball. I think after +4, and I kept getting those special attack drops from the Moonblast. So
And then the crit was your downfall on that part.
yeah,
You every time that thing is set up to ×3, it's swept, and I'm surprised that you didn't get the chance to try it.
yeah. Luckily, I did bring the Dredagon with the Sheer Force Life Orb this time, um, which was able to do plenty of work so that my other guys could come in, because things like Metagross and Florges were a problem for the rest of my team. I could have just switched into Chansey at any point, but that would have just lost a lot of momentum for me. And I realized that, so I was willing to like put momentum, like force him to do something to me. But I also really like the fact that Zapdos was able to come in and get 2 knockouts straight away with a choice specs on it. It did so much. So even though it went down, it really stopped, like with the static as well on the Lucario, that really kind of stopped it there. So
Yeah, I don't get why the Lucario is super powered.
it's because it can hit everything for neutral or super effective with it. The coverage of, I think, close combat, and it get like, I think it's close combat, Iron Head or whatever, and then something else, and then like can still have Swords Dance. And with the adaptability, it just hits so hard. And honestly, like I just don't think we've seen it run the way that like people who really like know how to use it would run it. And I don't really know how to run it myself because I don't play a lot of Ubers. But I know that Mega Lucario can hit a lot harder than it has been hitting since we've seen its debut. Regular Lucario as well, because it can go special or physical, and it's got Nasty Plot and Swords Dance at its disposal. So I think because I think this is another one of those situations where it's like one set syndrome, and that the coach is bringing the same, like even if it's they're bringing like different Pokemon, like they're not changing the moves very much, or like thinking like, and they might be, and that's fine. But like things like not knowing what Magic Bounce at this point is, or that Mega Sableye is a ghost and Rapid Spin's a normal type move, are things that like should be known at this point. So
Yeah, I definitely know how to run regular Lucario better than I know how to run Mega, so I'm not really the best person to talk about that with. It's just a 5. The attack set is base 5 better than the special attack, so even then you got a lot of choices.
yeah,
You
yeah, and
could
then that
switch it up.
extreme speed hits so hard too.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely felt like I got slightly greedy with the Sableye, but I've also like just been trying to play really careful with it, because I guess like it would have been a better idea to go for the Shadow Ball and try and hope for a two shot, but I was trying to be able to take it out without losing my Sableye to the next Pokemon that comes in, like the Metagross or something. So I was trying to look further ahead than I probably should have at that point, and I think that's what made it a 3-0. But either way, it was still a pretty good match. I was glad that I was able to bring in Zapdos, and it put in so much work, and that Dredagon was able to do a lot too.
Hey, Zapdos is doing really good. Like
I love
you've been running
Zapdos.
Zapdos so well.
Zapdos is so good. It's like one of my favorite electric types now. Just the fact that it's bulky and has static, and then its move pool's pretty good is just, it's scary, honestly. But I digress. We'll go ahead and go on to the next match, which is the match between the Alakazams and the Charmeleonaires. And So, or not, did I say the
Oh,
Alakazams? Goodness. The
you did.
Raikous versus the Charmeleonaires. That's actually who's playing one another. So, I see the Haxorus is brought, and I've been kind of wanting to see the Haxorus brought for a while because I know that with Moldbreaker it just does so much. So, I've been wanting to see him use that. Ditto's scary, and then his other 4 Pokemon he's brought very often, and it's a good core. Same thing kind of with the other side. Bringing the Cofagrigus was a pretty good move, especially for the Haxorus and the Pinsir. Being able to get rid of their abilities is huge, in addition to like the Will-O-Wisp. And then Mienshao is also a good pick as well. The only downside is that with that Quick Attack, I think Pinsir can one-shot with Quick Attack, which is pretty scary. And then that Mew run bulky can stop Mienshao's stuff in its tracks, except for knockoff on it. But I thought that like this match was really good, but at the same time, I think there were like things that happened that were like unexpected on both sides, and it just kind of went one way instead of the other. And I think it could have easily gone the other way had it been expected. I don't know if that makes sense. Do you have anything else, or do you have anything to add, Chase?
I'm disappointed, and you'll see why. I really shouldn't have let Cofagrigus go down as early as it did. Because right here, it would have been so easy for me to just foul play when
Oh
it's
yeah,
Dragon Dance. It
I
would have
didn't
been
even think
so
about that.
nice. I didn't either until it was done. Like 3 days later when I was rewatching these. It's like I
Fun
should have just foul played.
fun fact too. And this is like not competitive, but it just sheds a light on like how strong foul play can be against physical sweepers. Is in Black, Pokemon Black, my Pokemon Black version, I had Crocodile, and I didn't EV train it or anything, and I have no idea if it had good IVs or not. And it had foul play, and this was back when I had first played through it, and I really liked Crocodile, but like I didn't really think about more than the fact that it was a ground dark type with Intimidate, and then it was the 8th gym, and the ace that the gym has is that Haxorus. And this Haxorus has a ridiculous attack stat, and I knew it, and it was demolishing my team. And then I bring in Crocodile. I click foul play, and it one-shots it. And I was like, what the heck? And I figured out why. But I was just like, man, foul play is underappreciated. So that's a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I can see why you say that.
It would have just, yeah, I still would have lost. I played very poorly, but like right now, he doubled it. So I could have just very easily done that. And then naturally I burn it, so I can't even get the full damage from foul play. But I just didn't play to my abilities, I feel. I got done with Slowbro.
Yeah, one thing, I don't know if this is the set you brought, because I don't know if we had the chance to see it, but one thing I think would be cool to see it is a toxic, or not a toxic, but a rest talk set. But I think you brought that. But like I've seen you really only bring like Scald most of the time on it, and it can also be run really good with like Scald and Ice Beam, or Psychic and Scald, or Psychic and Ice Beam. And having that double setup can be really good, but sometimes it takes so long, it like kind of backfires by the fact that it takes so many turns to set up that way, and things can happen, in that time. So
Yeah, this time I did bring Psychic. I left Iron Defense at home.
yeah, it
But
is unfortunate, like you were saying, that you didn't switch into, like, you didn't really have the opportunity either, considering that I think it was the Quagsire that was in when you switched to Slowbro. But the fact that you weren't able to switch into Blaziken on that Swords Dance Baton Pass, which I thought was a pretty cool idea, that would have worked really well until the Pinsir came in, because I think Pinsir still would have demolished the Blaziken with a quick attack.
Well, if it had that sub up.
That's true, the sub. But, yeah, I was just thinking, like, one thing that has happened not only, like, in your situation with this match, but also in dance, like, matches sometimes is sometimes, and I do this too, so it's, like, not unique to anyone in particular, but sometimes we set up too early when there's still a threat that can come in and stop the sweep. And we have to figure out a way to exploit that and either weaken it enough to where it's not viable as a threat anymore, or get rid of it altogether before you set up. And it's not always possible, but it's something to think about, because if you know that, like, for example, even though that's not entirely the case in this match, the Mega Pincer takes out like a third to half of your team in 2 shots, and it may or may not be able to get killed in that time before it can do all that damage, then, like, knowing to preserve, like, certain walls, like you're talking about Kofagrigus especially, but also, like, trying to set up early can be dangerous too, especially since even though Blaziken's really good because it's got that speed boost, it has no priority, and with that Aerolate quick attack from Mega Pincer, it just hits so hard. That, like, I've seen quick attacks one-shot things before from Mega Pincer. I'm like, that's ridiculous, but it happens. So.
Yeah, it's just disappointing.
Yeah.
If I could do things again, I would definitely not run Scarf on Raikous. Just, I don't even know. I don't know what I was thinking there. Too many ideas.
Like, if I'm looking at this right now, not saying that, like, this is, like, what would have won the match or anything for this, but had you brought what I was talking to you before the video about with the sub-Calm Mind Raikous, you would have avoided the Toxic. You would have been able to set up and potentially have swept, even if it had to have happened before there was no switch-ins for Raikous, in the event that, like, something breaks the sub and you have to switch. But I do think it was good that you branched out and tried new things, but at the same time, I've said this about matches against Dan before. He loves his sweepers, and if you give him room to breathe, he's going to sweep you. And that's, I think, what ultimately affected the match, is that if you don't keep the pressure on him, the game usually goes in his favor.
Yeah, I was just playing way too defensively and just not even thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good match for him. Not so much for me.
Yeah, it happens. And then, of course, you guys might be wondering about the last match between Feladay and Fakemon. It was a forfeit, so yeah. So we've got these really good matches. Even though, like, there were some, like, that had, like, some big things that, like, you know, like with this match between Black Ice and Maple Grove Gengars, you know, like, there were still, I think, in every match we could say there were some really good plays and some things that people were trying that they hadn't before. And so I was just excited to see that people are trying new things and trying to prepare a little bit more than they have in the past. So, do you have anything else to add, Chase?
I like where everyone's going. I like the improvements that everyone's making, and I hope it continues throughout the next couple seasons.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to see, like, what people take from this season as a whole, since we're kind of coming to a close. I mean, we've got 3 more weeks, and then the tournament, which will be, you know, another 3 weeks. However, for some people, it's only a couple more weeks, and the tournament's more lax. Like, it kind of feels like the season's pretty much over by that point anyways. So just kind of seeing how people are finishing the season as opposed to how they started it, or maybe even the times that they started playing in the GTA at all. Just seeing the changes here is something that's really cool to see, like, people learn more and grow and see what they like to do and how they like to play. Find their strategies that they like to use. So that's, I guess, it. Can't think of anything else, so I guess we'll go ahead and end it here. Thanks guys for watching. We'll have week 9 up sometime next week, and be sure to keep an eye out for some more of those analysis and viability videos. I know I'm working on Raikous right now, and I should have Mega Venusaur coming up after that. So I'll keep everyone posted. Obviously it'll be on the channel and stuff like that. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching, guys. If y'all enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you want, subscribe for more videos. Hope to see y'all in the future, and thank you for watching.